don't buy into the gods of man, the ones that men have created in the image of himself. It went the other way around. To me, that creative intelligence could almost represent a massive morphogenetic field within which all intelligence exists and always will. And every piece of intelligence or piece of biology or piece of consciousness, identity, walking around is literally a piece of that identity, of that supreme creative intelligence.
Welcome back to Starseed Essence Media. I'm Eva Rozier, your host. Tonight we're stepping into one of the most intricate and controversial systems in modern esoteric thought, Keylontic Science. You may have heard whispers of ancient Stargates, multidimensional DNA, the Sphere of Amenti, or a group known as the Guardian Alliance. Much of this worldview comes from the teachings of author Ashayana Deane. For some people, these teachings offer a map of consciousness and humanity's cosmic origins. For others, they are fascinating mythology stories that inspire questions about who we are and why we're here. Tonight, we're not here to convince you of anything. We're just giving some information, this beautiful esoteric knowledge. We're here to explore and to learn about Keylontic Science. So settle in, keep an open mind, and let's journey into the world of Keylontic Science. Who is Ashayana Deane? Ashayana Deane, also known as Anna Hayes, emerged in the late 1990s with a series of books called Voyagers. She claimed that her teachings came from a group she called the Guardian Alliance, a collective of advanced beings associated with multiple dimensions and star systems. I reached out to Ashayana Deane recently, wanted to go ahead and dive into Keylontic Science to tell my audience, just kind of give a foundation of this Keylontic Science. According to Ashayana, we are more than physical, and I know that to be true as well. Ashayana describes us human beings as multidimensional. We've forgotten as multidimensional beings with forgotten histories and dormant potentials. Ashayana's work blends spirituality, sacred geometry, consciousness studies, extraterrestrial narratives, and ancient symbolism into a vast cosmology called Keylontic Science. But what exactly is Keylontic Science? Keylontic Science proposes that reality is fundamentally made of energy, light, sound, and consciousness. According to these teachings, the physical world we see is only one layer of a much larger multidimensional structure. This is the way I view it as well. I do see that we are these beings that we are the Homo Illuminus. We are not just this physical. And in the system that Ashayana Deane teaches about, every atom, star, and every living being exists with patterns of energy and geometry, like the sacred geometry. We are beaming this in every inch of our body. That's what we are. That's why we're bipedal. The word Keylontic refers to what Deane describes as the foundational language of creation, the energetic architecture underlying the universe itself. Imagine the universe as an immense symphony, universe, one song, these beautiful symphony. Stars, planets, people, and even thoughts are all notes within that composition. Keylontic Science attempts to explain how these notes fit together. Keys. Who has the keys out there? If you have a key, comment below. We live in a 15-dimensional time matrix, according to Deane. One of the most famous aspects of Deane's teachings, light, depth, width, 15 dimension, but Keylontic Science proposes 15 dimensions organized into 5 harmonic universes. According to this framework, the first dimension is related to physical existence. Higher dimensions correspond to the soul, the oversoul, and the increasingly expanded states of awareness. In this worldview, human beings are not simply bodies with consciousness. We are consciousness expressing itself through many layers, simultaneously. The version of you sitting here right now, watching this, is only one piece of something much larger. This is where we get into the matrix, the organic matrix and the phantom matrix, the 12-stranded DNA template, how that connects to it all. Modern biology describes human DNA as a double helix. Keylontic Science proposes something very different. According to Deane, humanity originally possessed a 12-stranded DNA template that extended beyond the physical body. For me, I believe it's more than just 12 strands. I believe we can go 24 and up to 144,000 stranded DNA, which this is where it fits into the numerology of it all, too. You can go down rabbit holes talking about our DNA, but I'm going to stick to what Ashayana Deane was teaching. She suggests that this template connects to individuals with the higher dimensions and ancient cosmic lineages. In these teachings, spiritual growth is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering and activating what already exists within us, which is very true, and practicing it. Whether we take this literally or symbolically, this idea resonates with a theme found in many spiritual traditions that human beings contain untapped potential. Now we come to the most intriguing ideas in the entire system, the planetary stargates. According to Keylontic Science, Earth contains 12 major energetic centers connected by ley lines. These stargates are said to function as gateways, communication points, and stabilizers for the planet. Locations commonly associated with these gates include Giza, Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, Sedona, Tibet, Antarctica. These teachings describe Earth as a living being with its own energetic anatomy. If these ley lines are the nervous system, then the stargates are the major nodes. Human consciousness in this model is woven into that planetary network. We're like the battery to these stargates. We are the stargate. Now we're going to get into the Sphere of Amenti. At the center of the planetary grids lies the Sphere of Amenti. Ashayana Deane describes it as a crystalline, energetic structure deep within the Earth, a kind of memory field woven deep within the Earth's grid around the Earth. The Sphere of Amenti is said to preserve the original blueprint of humanity and maintain the balance of the Stargate network. Think of it as a cosmic library, a place where the memory of a human potentially remains intact. What is memory, really? Listeners may hear echoes of ancient myths in this concept. Egyptian stories of hidden realms, legends of sacred knowledge beneath the earth, archetype of a hidden treasure waiting to be reached. The Guardian Alliance, who, according to these teachings, oversees this system. The Guardian Alliance, described as advanced intelligences from multiple star systems, the Guardian Alliance is said to protect humanity's evolution and preserve the integrity of the planetary grid. Supporters view them as guardians. Critics view them as symbolic constructs. Regardless of the interpretation, the deeper message remains fascinating. Possibility that humanity is a part of a much larger story. Why do these teachings resonate with so many people? Why do ideas like these continue to captivate people around the world? Perhaps it's because they touch on something ancient inside of us, in our soul, where the memory is contained, and the desire to understand who we are and where we come from. The feeling that there may be more to this reality than we even understand. The hope that human beings possess deeper capacities waiting to emerge. Even if one views Keylontic Science as mythology rather than literal truth, myths have always shaped civilizations. They help us ask questions. They challenge our assumptions. They invite us to imagine. Use your imagination. Go within. Talk to the Guardian Alliance. Go within. See for yourself. Don't take this just by hand. You should talk to the Guardian Alliance. You can ask them questions. You can go into a deep meditative state and just ask. Ask them to show up in your life in any way, shape, or form. So we have to remain grounded, and it's important to recognize that Keylontic Science exists outside of mainstream science. Keylontic Science claims about multidimensional DNA, planetary stargates, and extraterrestrial guardians have not been verified by physics, biology, or anything mainstream. But for some reason, these teachings really resonate as truth. And for others, they're just symbolic stories and very interesting to learn about. Perhaps the value lies not within certainty, but with curiosity, the willingness to explore without surrendering critical thought. So what? Just use your imagination, play. That's why we are here. We're here to play, to be this beautiful node in all existence. As we close tonight's journey, I will leave you with one main question. What if the most important part of these teachings is not whether every claim is literally true, but what they awaken within us? The wonder, the questions, it's all causing you to connect with your higher self. And that's what the purpose is. The sense that we are connected to each other, to the earth, and perhaps to something far beyond our current understanding. Thank you for joining me on Starseed Essence Media. And please have mercy on me. I'm new at this, and I'm also learning that YouTube has strict copyright claims. Even if you have a license for a song and you put it on, it's going to get taken. You're going to have to move it, switch it around, and get taken down. If you do that, it can mess up the whole video. So I'm learning, but please have mercy. And comment below. What do you think about Keylontic Science, ancient memory, modern mythology, or something else entirely? Also, if you have some information about this and you have been in touch with the Guardian Alliance during any channelings and you want to reach out and come be a guest on my podcast, please message me. Just comment below and I will get in touch with you. And guess what? This is coming to an end. And until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep looking up because you never know what you're going to see. Namaste. Remember, before I say goodbye, please remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much.
Here you have the 12 tree, we call it the Cathara 12 tree grid because there's 12 dimensions encoded on it. This goes up to D12, or actually you could look at it as comes down from D12 pre-matter down through the etheric matter to semi-etheric matter to gross matter density. What's going on up here? There is another 12-pointed Cathara grid that forms the frequency bands, because each of these would be a frequency band as well, of the primal light fields and the primal sound fields. So you'd have the 13, 14, and 15 be the primal light fields. Then you'd have these three levels of the sound field, and they're called the triadic, the polaric, and the ecadic level of the primal sound fields. So there's a Cathara grid that also holds the core programs, which are the pulsation rhythms of Partakai for each of those, for the light fields and the primal sound fields as well. Each one of these and each one of these bands represents a full frequency band, a full dimensional frequency band. Each dimensional frequency band has 12 sub-frequency bands within it. So what you're dealing with right here would be 12 dimensions times 12 sub-frequency bands in each. You'd have 144 sub-frequency bands. All right, because I know we're hardly seeing anything down here. All right, what we're mostly seeing is the dimension 2 to 2.5 range, because you'll perceive as solid exactly what exists exactly one dimension below your station of consciousness. So if your consciousness is actually resonating at D3, you'll see D2 as solid. And right now, our planet's been phase locked at D3 to 3.5.
accretion, it's called, how much frequency its template is holding, which means our perceptions have been stuck looking at D2 to 2.5, which means the identifiable spectrum that science is finding right now is somewhere just down in here. So literally, and it's funny because it's broken up, there's some of the waves that are actually picking up from what's called the parallel universe because they interface at certain angles here. Here, you have
It's to some of the ancient teachings that have been with us for many, many years and
This
have
is
many,
beyond
many
the beyond.
interpretations.
The information
another
is
one.
so important.
And I kind of like this one because it's a secret that was hidden within this diagram. Anybody recognize this diagram? Anybody not recognize this diagram? Most people probably will. Okay, this is the tree of life. Okay? Now, if you will notice, and for people who are really familiar with the tree of life, there are usually 10 circles on it. We have 12. There's a reason for that. And before I explain the reason why we have 12, I need to explain to you what they are. Now this is exciting stuff, because if you learn this, and if you learn the stuff that's on the next diagram, you'll have an understanding of how you can directly influence your DNA strands. And that's exciting. This is a roadmap to your DNA, and that's
True.
I'm very excited, so pardon me for saying that to me. Okay, now, these circles, which I believe in the traditional interpretations are called Sephiroth, we simply call them Kathara spheres. They're composites of frequency tones that form crystallizations that take on a spherical form. And within your body, there are positions within the morphogenetic level of your body that these spheres exist. Now, the 12th sphere, which is the big one, if the 12th sphere holds in it the code for the whole silicate matrix 12-strand DNA pattern. Right. That exists within the 10th chakra. Now, we have dealt with the 10th chakra in earlier classes. 10th chakra is about 6 inches up above the head. Okay, so the 12th Kathara sphere is located in the 10th chakra. Now, going downward, the 11th Kathara sphere is located in the pineal. This is your crown jewel. This is what connects you to the 12th one. Now, the 12th one is often called the capstone because when you fully activate the codes, the electromagnetic frequencies that are contained within that, you have control over your entire gene code. You can embody your oversoul. You can transmute into the next harmonic universe or right into the etheric level of the universes. You have complete mastery over matter density levels, and that's awesome. I don't have it. I'm not activated there, but it's a potential I'd love to try. Okay, now coming downward, we have the 9th and 10th Kathara spheres. Now, the 9th and 10th are located in the head. They're actually part of the acupressure point system. If you, like in Chinese medicine or Japanese medicine, they have acupressure points. There are 2 points somewhere right upward and behind the ears a little bit. And if you play around with your skull a little, you can feel them. They're a little soft, and they just have a feel. Like you feel a little bit of strange energy push on it when you put your fingers on it. Different. It's not as hard as the other spots. Okay, the 9th and 10th Kathara spheres are located back there. Now, it helps to understand where they are for several reasons. For one, you can stimulate them by direct touch or projecting energy into them. For two, if you're going to be reprogramming anything that's in them, to reprogram your DNA from the morphogenetic level, you want to know where it is so you can direct the energy the right way. Okay? Now, everybody got to take one of these home, so you get to have, the map to your morphogenetic level 1 with you. But, all right, now, the 8th Kathara sphere is located right down in here in the region of what we have marked as the 8th chakra on our chakra diagrams. And it's also in the area of the thyroid. And it affects the thyroid gland directly. So when the frequencies that are contained within the 8th Kathara sphere begin to activate, they will affect the thyroid and thus the metabolic rate. And they will affect, and it will also create another arc with the pineal gland. So you will have energy dynamics taking place that will shift the metabolic rates of the body. It'll shift the breathing rate, the heart rate. It will shift all sorts of things that we can consider the autonomic processes that supposedly we have no control over. Well, there
848,800 years ago,
Human seeding too was destroyed by something called the 1,000 Years' War, when a race called the Nephilim, which were Anunnaki that came in and forced themselves on human women to create a race of what appeared to be giants, Nephilim, to take over the planet on behalf of the Anunnaki agenda. There was a 1,000 Years' War fought over that, and angelic human seeding too was destroyed. However, the Nephilim didn't win either, because the guardian races came in and they basically kicked them off the planet. And they put them on Nibiru. They didn't hurt them. They just got them off Earth because they didn't belong here. They had been entrusted, actually. It had come about by visitations. They had been allowed by Anunnaki that were claiming to be nice. And then they invaded by sexual invasion. And seeding too, you could interbreed sexually between the two race strains. That's when certain alterations were made to the gene codes, so that couldn't happen anymore unless it was done by permission. But that changed later with the Iluli Levi. Now, I know it's getting late. I just want to go through this real fast, so I won't elaborate a lot, but I'm just going to read the list so you see the number of events that took place to get us here. 848,800 years ago, human seeding too was
Our dream reality, what we call dream reality, is other dimensional reality. The Cathara grid, and for people who are new, you may have seen something that looked like Earth's electromagnetic fields. This is what causes the time acceleration. This begins in the year 2000 with the opening of the fourth vortex. There are 7 vortexes here that will open to receive these frequencies. They're known as the 7 seals in the Bible. 3 of them are already open, and so far so good. We haven't had any major planetary cataclysms. We are approaching the opening of the 7 seals. We are approaching time acceleration. And we have, between now and 2017, to learn what that means and to prepare ourselves for it and to not freak out about it. And meanwhile, we have to deal with the Illuminati who are trying to keep us as stupid as possible so we don't learn about this, because they don't really care if we have accelerated disease, aging, the whole bit. There's only certain...
If it was an easier way, I would be glad to give it to you. But unfortunately, it isn't something that just, bam, you decide it's going to be there and it's just going to happen overnight.
They have until the year 2012 to get control over the portal system on this planet. If they don't do it by then, they're not going to have the opportunity to do it. So right now, between now and 2012, the intruders are trying to set up a couple of agendas here. Their first area of interest is in getting us under control because of the time cycles that we're in. They have until the year 2012 to get control over the portal system on this planet. If they don't do it by then, they're not going to have the opportunity to do it. So right now, between now and 2012, the intruders are trying to set up a couple of agendas here. Their first area of interest is in getting us under control on a mass level without us knowing it. Basically, they're setting up what's called a frequency fence. And they have studied for about, for maybe 30 years trying to figure out exactly what frequencies to use in order to harness our perceptions. Once we're under a frequency fence, they can project what's called a holographic insert. It's like a 5-sensory hologram. This could be a holographic insert, and we wouldn't know the difference if we were under a frequency fence. It makes a whole global population very easy to control. You can make them see, think, feel, or whatever, anything you want to. And that's one of the things the intruders are trying to do. The Guardians, of course, are having their counter strategy. This cannot be allowed to happen, because if it does, we have a problem when we pass through our double, because the grid vibrates too low, because the frequency fence hampers the resonance rate or the frequency rate of the planet, not just the people. So the Guardians have to get us out of this time continuum now. So we're in the process now of learning the energy techniques and how they apply to our bodies.
Okay. This one down here, Tiamat. Interesting. Tiamat, there's long legends on Tiamat that go back into Sumerian history and this kind of thing. We call it the Nibiruan lie, okay? Because Tara was the original Terra Alcyon. That's the original planetary body here that had Gate 5 in it. Tara was attacked. This was when the original fall happened, where y'all had to come down into density 1, into Earth, because we were attacked by Anunnaki races, and there was a large war that took place, and part of the planet was literally, Tara, was literally blown off, where its planetary body was reduced by quite a bit, which means it lost half its grids, which means it was stuck in time. A planet that loses part of its grids, if they go into phantom, or if they get fragmented and they're not plugged in, means the planet can't build its Merkaba. It means those grids are blocked, just like your DNA could be blocked, and you can't build the subharmonics in your Merkaba to get your Merkaba up to the right speed that would allow you to go through the process of ascension. So the planet itself was stuck, all right, and so was Earth down in here. Now, the Tiamat lie comes in where the planet, after 550 million years ago, when this blew up, it created a fragment that was called Tiamat, and it created another whole set of fragments that got sucked down into density 1. Our solar system didn't start in density 1. It literally fell. And if science understood more about how star systems are created, how they're born, how they die, what they do, what supernovas are, and those kind of things, it would make more sense to them. But literally, when a planet nearly completely implodes and throws its pieces all over, the inside implodes, the core implodes, and it throws the rest of it into explosion. Threw this piece out and it stayed in density 2, but went into reverse Merkaba. Another part of it came down and it got sucked through the solar gate. It literally got sucked through the solar Merkabas, and as basically large pieces of space dust, and it got transmuted into light and spit back out down in density 1. And that is literally where this particular galaxy that we're living in came from. We are at the end of an old cycle, but we are also at the beginning of a new one. It's a cycle, the golden age of waking up, the cycle of all those things that are promised us in the New Age movement, of the knowledge coming back, of free energy systems and understanding how to run them, of internally generated health, of immortal life, immortality, ascension, which is Stargate passage, those kind of things. All of those things, those promises are being brought back to us now. But there's a little problem that we need to work through in order to be able to take those promises of our heritage and run with them. We're going to have a joyous outcome, but it may be interesting to watch what it looks like getting there. There are outside dramas that are taking place and inside dramas that are taking place. The outside dramas have to do with certain family lines on the planet, most of whom aren't awake and don't realize what family lines they're connected to, being guided into creating certain dramas politically. Those dramas at their core, though they may have other reasons and excuses on the outside that we're being fed in order to have us think it's okay to go do that somewhere, to go attack this place or that place, what the dramas are really about is what side is going to control what land masses when this intended fall starts to happen. Now, the planetary grids hold 12 stargates. They connect to 12 galactic stargates that connect to 12 universal stargates. The territories of the 12 stargates, which there is a list in there. I think it's like in microscopic print because that's a consolidation of a lot of graphs in your books you have there. But we have been given the locations of our planetary stargates and of the galactic ones and the universal ones, all of that. It's very interesting to watch because one important stargate is Stargate 10, and it's located in Iraq. Yeah. There's some interesting, another one is located in, Stargate 6 is located in Moscow. There's some real interesting places where stargates are located, and if you begin to understand where they're located and watch the dramas that have historically, and especially are now, beginning to emerge, you can start to understand that there is an internal drama taking place between two warring factions. There are two core warring factions, both of which are from the Wysadek black hole system, both of which hold the agenda of taking over and taking this place and literally this matrix into their system. Both of which have different territories in their system. And whoever's got their codes in the grids when it falls will get the territory on the other side. They have to fight their battle here. We're beginning to watch the political manifestation. And it starts and it stops, then something else happens and we're watching like fluff on TV and all these little things run across the bottom of the television. Did you ever catch those? You know, the most important ones run across when you have something of mild interest to distract you here, so you miss that one that went across once and you never see it again, right? We're watching these things go. Oh, they're releasing the information because we are in a free country. Our Constitution guarantees that, doesn't it? Yeah. That's what they say.
So there's going to be a very distracting political drama that emerges on the outside. We're going to get our strings jerked with the economic system at some point. There's going to be, probably it's going to look like a heart machine, you know, with the dee-dee-dee-dee-dee with the stock market. Oh, it's going down, it's going down. Oh, it's going back up, everybody's okay. Oh, it's going down again. We're going to dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. This keeps us in constant turbulence and constant distraction and agitation, you know, because most of us are so keyed into, well, first of all, you have to be somewhat keyed in to the financial reality on the planet, because at this point, if you're not, everybody owns everything, and there's no place you can go and run away to unless you want to, like, fly to the moon all by yourself, but they already own that too. And basically, if you go and try to put yourself in your little tent on somebody else's property, they can come out with a gun and shoot you or have you arrested as a vagrant. So there is nowhere to run left on this planet. You can go hide in a cave until somebody finds you, but as soon as they find you, they're going to drag you out and put you somewhere else. You lose your freedom that way. So we're all tied into financial strings. We're lucky in America and in the first world countries, because at least we're not being constantly jerked around like the people in Africa, like the people in the starving countries. A lot of the politics that goes on behind the scenes has created on purpose those conditions in those countries to limit and control certain gene lines that are called the Grail lines. The Grail lines in the human and indigo races, and they're all over. They're not in just any one color skin or any one ethnic background. But the Grail line groups hold the ability to run in their DNA the most frequency. So they are the biggest threat to the invading races, because they're the ones that have the ability to actually run enough frequency, even small groups of them, that they could make a difference and stop black hole fall. There's been a systematic, all through history since Atlantis. If you look at what groups were slaughtering who during our recorded history, all of this slaughter was either to get grid control over certain areas that were connected to the gates, or to reduce Grail line populations and to make more of Leviathan hybrid Illuminati populations. Because it takes a lot more Illuminati bodies to run as much frequency as one human or indigo could. There was the command of go forth and multiply and keep multiplying like rabbits that was given. Right now we have so many people on this planet, the planet's ready to fall out of orbit. It was never meant to hold this many bodies. This many bodies were never intended to be here. The sad thing is, the people who have, let's say, it's almost, you could look at it as a disability of soul, that have actually incarnated from those fallen race matrices. The people that become here just know themselves as people, most of them. They don't know what they're connected to. They don't know there's a difference between a human with a human soul and a human with something else in it. These people are actually genetically vulnerable. They're not evil people to go out and, like, you know, oh, you're bad. Not that at all. They have a genetic vulnerability. That means beings from the black hole matrix can, if they want to, push their way into their body forms at some point for full takeover. In the old days, they used to call that possession. In the science days, they used to call it essence displacement. If the Weesadeks do it, it's called absorption, because they don't just displace the being that's in the body. They absorb it. They tear its template apart and reassemble it on what's called the base 8 reverse Metatronic code. And that's how they get into bodies here. We are at the end of an old cycle, but we are also at the beginning of a new one. It's a cycle, the golden age of waking up, the cycle of all those things that are promised us in the New Age movement, of the knowledge coming back, of free energy systems and understanding how to run them, of internally generated health, of immortal life, immortality, ascension, which is Stargate passage, those kind of things. All of those things, those promises are being brought back to us now. But there's a little problem that we need to work through in order to be able to take those promises of our heritage and run with them. We're going to have a joyous outcome, but it may be interesting to watch what it looks like getting there. There are outside dramas that are taking place and inside dramas that are taking place. The outside dramas have to do with certain family lines on the planet, most of whom aren't awake and don't realize what family lines they're connected to, being guided into creating certain dramas politically. Those dramas at their core, though they may have 250 billion years ago, an event took place in the Lyra star system, the cradle of Lyra, with the Christos founders races, the races from Stargate 11, the guardians of Avion Gate 11, and the guardians of Gate 10, which is Vega Lyra, began to war with each other because both of them suffered code convolution. The Omicron Draconian races, who were of the Seraphi Seraphim, were the Gate 10 guardians, and a particular group out of the Giovanni entity of Elohim were the guardians of Gate 11. Both of them were getting a bit out of hand as far as taking a free will concept and literally turning it in on itself and becoming authoritarian. Because free will and authoritarian dictatorship do not go hand in hand. They are in direct opposition. Both of them began to play that game with each other. And after a while of the D11 Elohim pushing the Draconians around, the Draconians managed to evolve in a certain way that they were a bit stronger. So they began to take back territory. They began to push back. And at this point, the Elohim commissioned High Council, which were the ones who were guardians, the Elohim, the Elohai Elohim, who were guardians of Gate 12, and they said, these guys are out of control. We want you to destroy them. And we said, excuse me, we don't destroy anybody. By the way, did you notice that you've been out of control for a while too? Why don't we all sit down and figure out how we can help both of you heal? They didn't like that answer. They threatened High Council that if you don't destroy them, we'll destroy them, and not only that, we will destroy your gate and you as well, and we will take over the Matrix. That was a very sick decision to make. It was a choice that was made because they had an idea. These were Creator God people. These were Elohim that knew just almost as much as the other Elohim. They knew that if Source could create using the template that we talked about yesterday in the dance floor programs, where you have 15 spheres, well, what if you took just 7? They knew there was a way to bend the mathematics, which would bend the light and the sound and the scalar waves into a form that could actually repel itself and cut itself off from the natural matrix. It would still exist within the entire matrix, but it would be their own system. They decided they wanted to turn this time matrix into that, which was a direct violation of something called the Emerald Covenant. The Emerald Covenant was the original agreement that the Janus Ascended Masters agreed upon when they decided to create this time matrix together. It was a free will system, and it was built upon the law of one, which is acknowledgement that we are all of the same source, and that loving co-creation is the only sane and natural way of being in an understanding of yourself as part of the one. That was the original tenets and precepts by which this matrix was created. The Elohim of Gate 11 decided that they were going to do it different. They were going to break that covenant, and they were going to destroy the races who wouldn't cooperate with them, and they were going to take it over and run it their way. The only thing standing in their way of doing that were the Elohai Elohim of Gate 12. They could dominate the things lower in coding than them. They could, when push came to shove, use their ability to run higher frequency because they had the D11 coding. The Seraphi Seraphim had D10 coding. So they could, if they wanted to, use that superiority and ability to run frequency to get rid of the Draconian races. But they would have a hard time doing it to get rid of the Elohai Elohim races because they had D12 and higher capacity. But there is a way to turn the natural physics of creation in on itself. If you can think of the Cathara grid and the Stargate systems as a conduit of energy, and when energy is coming into the matrix, it spirals down through the primal light and sound fields into D12 and then D11, 10, 9, 8. Now, if you block energy at Gate 11, the energy is still coming in through 12, but it bounces back. And it creates a backflow that amplifies. So you can, and it was theoretic at that point, theoretically, you could sever the connection at Gate 12 and have Gate 11 and down be your own little universe if you wanted to hijack it. That was their idea. It worked. And there was a choice that the Elohai made. There is a choice to defend or to allow. Now the Elohai knew that they were eternal. Death isn't something that frightened them. They were completely beyond that. They knew that if they were to defend themselves, because they had superior power capacity, that those who attempted to destroy them would literally have the energy bounce back at themselves and literally wipe them out and the systems they were connected to. It would not only take out the Elohim that were posing the challenge, it would take out the Seraphim, both the fallen ones, and a group called the Odedicron. The Odedicron were a race of Seraphim who had co-governance over Stargate 10, Vega, with the Omicron Draconians. The Odedicrons were the reptilians. There was a difference between the Draconians and the reptilians. The Draconians were the dragon moth people. They were the dinoids. They created dinosaur-like, as opposed to snake-like, as opposed to smaller reptilian. The Omicron dragon moth dinoids were fully involved in the competition for the time matrix. They knew what the Elohim were going to do, and they decided they would do it too. They didn't petition for help. They said, fine, we'll both get rid of them, and then we'll go after each other and see who gets the matrix. But the Odedicron, the reptilians, didn't want to play the game. They were stuck in the Gate 10 system, and they petitioned for help. But because you had Gate 11 and the Elohim in the middle, in between Gate 12 and Gate 10, we weren't able to rescue or get the Odedicron out. So if the decision to defend by simply putting up a shield around Gate 12 was chosen, it would have taken out both Gate 11 and Gate 10, which could have been repaired. It would have taken a long time, but it could have been repaired using Gate 12. But those consciousness that were in those systems would be fragmented back to space dust. They'd still be part of God, as I've said. You can never be not part of God. But races that had beautiful potential, and they'd already come a long way in their evolution. They'd evolved from 950 billion years ago to 250 billion years ago. That's a lot of evolution. And they had reached wondrous things in their own right in certain ways. It was primarily because of the Odedicron, of the reptilians, that the founders chose to allow, knowing they were taking a burden onto themselves. But it was the only way that if they allowed it, they would slowly be able to heal it. They knew a black hole would be created if this were allowed. They tried to talk them out of it, but they didn't want to listen. The Elohim did not want to listen. Instead of defending themselves, they allowed the Elohim to back up Gate 11 and reverse it. And that created a backflow, and it literally shattered the divine blueprint and blew up the Stargates in Lyra Aramitana. That would have to be reassembled later using the D13 and higher primal light fields to reset the pattern. It created a black hole system. That black hole system came to be known as Phantom Matrix. Phantom Matrix was originally a part of this time matrix. Phantom Matrix started with simply part of the D11 Avion gate and what was that planetary system or star system, and the D10 Vega Lyra system. But it grew much bigger than was ever intended. When the Phantom Matrix was created by the Anu Elohim, they came to call themselves the Anu Elohim. The Giovanni entity hadn't fully fallen. A portion of that entity had fallen. And because of that, it sent another portion of itself into the matrix to try to rescue the part of itself that had fallen. That was a risky thing to do because, again, it comes down to how much energy is on which side. Normally, an entity would put X amount of itself into the matrix at one time. Well, it already lost a big chunk of itself, so it put more of itself in. And there were 250...
It's running.
Well, everybody knows me. I'm about five.
There's a technique that before I do any, what I like to do with the group, before I do any type of meditation work, is called the Maharic seal.
In a computer game, and you have your computer persona, you know, the image that you have there, but you're in the game and you can't get out, and some part of you has a vague memory that you used to have a self that wasn't a hologram quite that way. And unfortunately there, in the Phantom Matrix, there are whole bunches of control hierarchies and all those kind of things where people who really want to have an objectified, wrathful God will have their wish fulfilled. It will, you know, it may be a draconian one, it may be an Anunnaki one, but people that really need to have that, and they get angry because they hear us
In order to try to heal all of
the Archangel Michael Matrix and the various other intruder or ET races or fallen angelic races, because ET and fallen angelic.
We're in the middle of watching a New Age movement. Some people pay attention.
The competition for the time matrix. They knew what the... Do you suggest God writes the code? What